Hey guys, what's going on? This is David Chen, and you're on another edition of Pananomics Podcast, New York Weekly's #1 podcast for mental health and business. Today, we have one of my very good friends, Cliff Pierre, CEO. How you doing, my man?
I'm blessed to be here. So happy to be in Las Vegas. I love this city.
Yes, first things first, Cliff always looking very stylish. Ford Model Esports approved.
Thank
Ding!
you.
Looking great from head to toe as usual. Now, let's talk a little bit about yourself and how the Cliff Pierre CEO happened. But before that happened, we kind of got to talk about how we met too,
Yeah.
because that's kind of a funny story, right? The
Yeah.
universe. But as we're getting into the universe, I just want to point out as we talk about good people, authentic people always meet together in the most mysterious ways possible and going from there. And that's what I believe is what Cliff and I have done. So, Cliff, tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about what you've done and how you became Cliff Pierre CEO.
Yeah. So my background's in marketing. I started in marketing in 2017. I've managed over $1 million in paid ad spend. My team's managed over 300 million in paid ad spend. So I'm a marketing guy that just understood the importance of content creation, the evolution of it, I should say. So I was like, you know what? Instead of me watching from the sidelines 2022, I decided to make myself the brand and make myself the product. So just kind of taking everything I learned and figuring out like, okay, this personal brand is just as valuable as being a business owner. So I just love marketing and love content creation.
So when we talk about personal brand, because I mean I talk about brands all the time, right? We've done billions of dollars at this point, and any brand that really makes it, I think, really sees a bigger picture beyond their community, beyond one area on a global level. And I remember the first time we met because it talks about this, right? You just mentioned in 2022 that you just really put this together, retired the style lines, and you wanted to go and you hit, and you have an astounding millions of followers, millions. What was your process on like how you started this, and what is your day-to-day process to make those videos as great as they are?
So it's market research. This goes again to putting on the marketing hat on. Market research and competitor research. I figured out who was doing what I could potentially do in my industry, and I needed a mass appeal marketing strategy. Like my personal goal is 100 million followers in the next 5 to 10 years, and I'm going for the B because after I build this community, I want to like pull out 100 million, 200 million, open up like a private university, teaching people marketing, advertising, and crypto, blockchain technology. But I realized like the bigger your community, the more impact that you can make. So I really like I'm modeling a Mr. Beast and Logan Paul business model as a content creator. So I put a lot of research, a lot of time, energy, and effort into this. And then I figured out who was doing something in my industry that I could model. I found some guy doing these website videos, and I was like, boom, that's a mass appeal marketing strategy. And I just kind of really studied. And at one point, I was creating 8 videos a day, sometimes even 5 videos a day. So it's really like an obsession that I've developed with content creation, marketing, advertising, and looking at the bigger picture. So like the millions is just the beginning because my ultimate goal is 100 million plus. So it's just like lay one brick at a time, be consistent, and you'll get what you want.
Dude, there is no way that most people will ever make any fucking money in this world by literally doing no videos, not putting themselves out, not doing market research. I teach at like 7 universities, right? This stuff. Shit drives me nuts. Content creators that we know, everyone else. Oh, I gotta do this. I gotta do that. I gotta put it out. And when they're pushing out stuff, they don't even make the videos to shoot out. Like they rather it be perfect and whatever their image of perfect is than getting great videos that, quite frankly, are more authentic and might resonate with people. Then you're banging out 5 to 8 of them. Then you got to live a life. Then you got to be a human. Then you got to call your family, and still you got to do it. And you didn't make any excuses, right? Did you see that is to me like that's a key fucking difference. Like, oh, I can't do it, blah blah blah. Like, dude, do you want this or not?
That's it. And I did it with an iPhone X and originally. Like I didn't get a brand new iPhone until maybe
Nah,
like
you
January,
didn't have the best
February.
iPhone, so that's the only way you could shoot.
No, I didn't even
Oh,
need it.
get out of here.
Yeah, it's the phone didn't matter. People had better phones than me, but I had more content and more videos than them.
The planning and the strategy is so pivotal in this. But I think the most pivotal thing is not making excuses, right? Because it's so easy to sit there and say I have one people looking or 2 people looking or no one's liking my views, no one likes my comment, and it basically fucks with your head, right?
And the transition is this. I gained 169,000 followers in 45 days on TikTok from like August to September, from maybe like July 5th to August. And then I had some issues with my TikTok account. So I got a little frustrated. So I just pivoted over to Instagram. So from like September to like August, I gained 1.5 million followers on Instagram. So just because one platform, like I knew my videos were getting millions of views on TikTok, but it took time to get those same millions of views on Instagram. So it's just like, you got to believe in yourself and you got to be confident, because it's just like once you see the numbers, you're like, okay, I know it's possible, but you just got to be consistent and persistent and really like be strategic and just never stop.
You know, it's so crazy, man. You know, I've been in so many industries. You know, I'm in my mid 40s at this point. Been all around the world, billions of dollars of things. I'm going to tell you this. This industry kind of shocked me a little bit because Michael Lucas, shout out to our boy Michael W. Lucas. I was like, Michael, what's more grimier, the crypto industry or this industry? He goes, this industry. Now, that same look that I had, like
Hmm.
that exact same look, that threw me off because he's been a partner of mine for me 4 or 5 months now, right? And I've been in this for 4 or 5 years consistently in this particular industry, grinding it out. And I was in crypto for many years, and like to hear that made me wonder why he said that. And Mike said two things that were really interesting to me. One, he said a lot of the people that he felt around were fake, right? Like as far as things that they could do. And two, what I thought was really interesting was they were always trying to jump and get to the next person. And you and I both know, like in a world of business, the only person that matters are the decision makers, right? And that's just the reality of the situation. So people are jumping around and they're talking and they're moving up the scale until they get to a certain point, and then they don't grow anymore because their credibility or their credentials or the people they know can only get them so far to hit that, right? And you and I always talk about being nice and be authentic and being true, and then seeing these grimy people and they're talking about you, they're talking about me, and they're talking about me, they're definitely talking about you, right? Because they're trying to position. That's the part they don't talk about in this industry, right? That griminess. Everyone, I'm trying to go from there. What do you do to avoid that and to maintain your CO-ness?
I'm realizing you have to guard your energy. Like there was some people that I met along the way that randomly reached out to me and I added value to them. And then like I'm not speaking with these people today. So it's like if you don't have haters, you're not doing something right. But at the same time, like I knew my information was valuable and I knew my information can help people. So it's really just like knowing that you're not going to be everything for everybody
Right.
and being confident about that, and just I'm learning to walk away. That's like a big lesson that I'm learning, because at the end of the day, like your brand, like you can make a split-second decision and lose everything overnight, and it's not really worth it. So it's just let people be who they are and focus on you.
Yeah. It's interesting because you talk about that long-term stuff. I remember when we walked in, we did phase, in 17, and I remember thinking about the brand. I remember the 120 million followers we started, and the 120 million dollar valuation we had, and the 500 million subscribers. You can talk about, like, you're right. When you have younger guys, 20s, 30s, early 30s, and you have these other business guys who have these big titles and the big names. I worked at Capital Record. I worked here. I worked there. I was a CEO. I founded Kid Rock. I founded so and so.
Hmm.
I gotta be honest, man. Like when I see a lot of that, and you kind of look around in this industry, and a lot of guys are like, hey, 20 years ago I did this, 15 years ago I did this. I always tell people, I'm like, in order to really see where you stand in this world, just go see what my client says. Right? Go on Roland.com, type in my name, type in what we've done at NACL, and the client will tell you what we did. It's a publicly traded company. This isn't like everyone else. Oh, I've done this. This has actually been proven by our clients, right? And I think about that when it comes to branding, and I think about that when it comes to people like yourself that we're meeting and we're doing business. There has to be a trust on both ends. But I tell people like, well, why can't you give me an agent? I'm like, bro, it took me 25 years to get this relationship. Like, you better be worth that $1 billion for me to make that phone call. Because if you don't, like you said, in that 1 second, it's done. And a lot of people get caught up in that because what ends up happening is, well, how come I didn't deserve it? How come you didn't make the call? Or how come you aren't fair? Because you didn't have the $1 billion brand. And branding has nothing to, in my opinion, just to do with the way they're pushing themselves out there. It's the way that you handle yourselves behind the scenes. It's the way that you handle yourself with the CEOs. It's the way that the presidents and the big companies and the big brands are working with you. And the hardest thing is the patience. And in a world where it's fucking impossible to be patient, it's really hard to do.
Yes, it's sometimes, things are gonna come to you when they're meant to come to you. And like even kind of going back to how we met, I met a lady named Karen, and Karen was
Shout
at a
out, Karen.
breathe event. She was at a breathe event, and then she invited me to Sean Mike Kelly sent me a DM maybe like 6 months prior to his F1 event. I didn't know who he was, but like I was building my brand. So now I'm like, hey, I'm getting these DMs. This is cool. So I randomly showed up to that thing, not knowing what I was walking into. But Karen was also talking about Craig was doing something, and it was like this private event, but it happened to be the same event. and she introduced me to you, but it was just like really by chance because we didn't know each other prior.
Right.
But it was just like I was also trying to learn more about esports and gaming, and then Bobby was like, "Yeah, we're in esports and gaming," and it was just like a perfect synergy at the
Hmm.
perfect time. So it's just like sometimes, like, the higher power has a plan for you, but you just have to wait till those chips fall into place, and it's not like it was bad timing. It's just it's perfect timing when it happens, but you
Right.
just got to be willing. You got to be ready for that moment, I'd say, because that moment's gonna come.
I love that you said that because when you talk about timing and you talk about how we ran each other, that night was insane. Like we're at an event. It was an unplanned event. The event moves up and down and left and right, and 15,000 people in between. And we're catching each other from a distance. And we're looking at each other, and we're trying to see each other for more than a second. And we're getting pulled away, but we kept in touch. We continued talking, right? And that was crazy to me because when you went to that type of event, like the amount of people that you could still talk to that had added value that were going to continue to go from there was so few and far between until you got to that next part where all the real friends were there and the guys that were really pushing it out, right? You have to filter through it. You know what I'm talking about,
Hmm.
right? Part two. When we talk about the higher power and doing this, if you realize this, I see this a lot happening, dude. You get it, you start moving in that direction. And then certain people, they get there and they're so unhappy because it wasn't the way they wanted it, right? Or they try to get there, they get the calling, and they don't listen to the calling. They like listen to the other way, right? Like they don't follow their heart. They listen to the greed, the money, the power, the poison, the snakes,
Hmm.
right? And then it almost is like this is your initial blessing, and then it becomes a giant downfall. You
Hmm.
know, you've seen that through our whole entire lives. When you see that, now we're, a little bit older than some of the 20-year-olds, right? Not that much older. What advice do you give to stay true, man? Because that's a hard shit, man. You have all these people telling you this and telling you that, but like, how did you stay true?
I am the same person that you see on camera that you see off camera. Like I don't really have to like change to fit in. I think in your in your teens it's kind of like you're learning who you are. In your 20s you kind of like establish who you are, like, and then your 30s you should have more confidence at least, and like just know not everything is for you. Like I know what I like and I know what I don't like, so it's just like I don't need to try to fit in anymore.
I love that.
I think that's the key thing.
Dude, self awareness is so crazy. And I will tell you, I know a lot of friends who are my age and they're not self aware. It's almost one of those things where like you can even get the living shit beat out of you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and still not figure that part out. You've seen it. I've seen it.
Hmm.
We've seen it in our communities. We've seen it in friends. We've seen it in family members. It is a crippling thing, right? The inability to love and believe yourself and stay true. And the moment that you make your wrong decision and it goes downhill, most people can't pick themselves back up to go in the right direction, right? It was just driving the wrong way for 30 minutes. Turn back around, drive the other way, just suck up the 30 minutes and keep doing what you have to do, right?
Hmm.
What they happens is they get that 30 minute and they just fucking quit. I can't believe I drove all the way out here. I can't believe this is what happened. I can't believe I got steered the right way. Man, you knew what the fuck you were doing. You knew who you were talking to. No one's that stupid. Like you, in your heart of hearts, you had a pretty good idea what was going on, right? But to me, the most pivotal thing are the friends that will tell you there's shit in your teeth. They'll
Yeah.
tell you that there's something going on. Because I feel like in a world like this, when people preach authenticity, eventually when you meet these people, the fans know. Like they just know, or we're in the community and they just know. They can just feel the energy of these people, right? I mean, you and
Hmm.
I, that's how we connected. It was just energy. Me
Yeah.
and you from across the room, literally hundreds of people twice, and then that was it.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to do, right?
Yeah.
And remember when we first met, the amount of things I told you, the adversities that would happen in between, right? The questions, all the things that would happen, because to me, that's always a higher power. And like later in my life, I almost realized this. You always get opportunities, man. It don't matter what the opportunities are. The problem is, why did you get the opportunity? Who is offering the opportunity? Is it an apple that you're eating? Is it fake? Is it something that you don't know? That to me has been the most scariest shit that I've had to see in my 40 plus years on this earth. Thank you for letting me do that. And seeing around the world because, man, people will do that, you know? You know what I'm talking about, right? And here's the thing that I think is most important you can't take that personal.
Yes.
And it's hard not to, man.
Yes. And just not everybody's gonna see things the way you see it, and not everything's gonna do things the way you do it. There's like, there's there was this one professor that I had, and there was like this central area, and he would say like, "Hey, there's plenty of ways to drive to that specific area. There's not just one way to live your life or one way to go to get to your destination. But you just got to be willing to actually like take that leap of faith,
Right.
and then sometimes you just got to like be patient, and then it's okay to make mistakes along the way. Like there's some relationships that I probably like. I'm not gonna say I maybe have walked into a bad deal and didn't negotiate the best deal, so I had to learn how to better negotiate my circumstances. So if like you're not where you want to be, sometimes you got to leave everything that you were comfortable with in order to grow to that next level. And then sometimes you just learn from every mistake that you make along the way. But as long as you're growing, and as long as like the only person I compete with is myself, I don't look to compete with anybody else. I just figure out how can I be a better version of me every single day versus like looking at it outwardly and expecting other people to kind of like challenge me the way I should be challenging myself.
That's what I like to hear, man. This is what makes you such an amazing CEO because you are competing against yourself. And they're really, I mean, it's like if there's a hater, someone says anything, you don't even have to allow them into your level. Like you just let them go, right? Block them, delete them, don't hear from them. And even in a circle, like I always told people, I think I remember this as a kid, like, oh, they're saying this and saying that. And at the end of the day, like, dude, if you believe them, you're not a very good person either. You have to move on too. You know what I mean? And that is really interesting. As you're growing and you have so much great standards in your business, man, you talk about the universities, talk about doing the schools, and I know that you're going to get there. What inspired you to be so empathetic to want to do that with the communities?
I was one of those young, underprivileged youth that just fortunately got out. I was not like, everybody may think like I come from the subsidized housing projects in Cambridge,
Hmm.
Massachusetts. I would walk through the Harvard Yard every single day to go to the high school. But like I was one of those underprivileged kids. Like I'm not saying like we were poor. We had a shelter. Like my mom bought us nice things, but the mindset wasn't an abundance of building wealth. It was just like getting by. Like my mom's telling me like, Cliff, you need to like, like get your social security ready. And I'm like, Ma, I love you. What you want is great for you. You coming from Haiti and coming to America and buying a house, like that's what you were supposed to do. Me growing up here, I can't just have me buying a house and just doing that as my priority. So it's really, I had to leave everything behind that I knew in order to get to that next level. So it's like building my network, meeting all these people. It's kind of like a dream that's come true, but it's something that took years and me willing to want to do this. And now I'm realizing, like, holy moly, like, I bet you there's a bunch of other people that wish they had the same opportunity. So if I have to be the vessel, then maybe that's what I'm here for.
I'm good at being. I like that. I'm good at being the vessel. I remember hearing one time from someone. They were like, "You do good. You do a lot of the work. You work hard. You do this all the time. You're the hero." And they said, "I don't want to be the hero." I remember hearing that, man. That shit resonated with me so hard because it's one I love with all my heart. And when I heard it, my immediate reaction is, I have no problem being the fucking hero. I have no problem helping people. I have no problem standing there. I was created to be 6'5", 260, 270, badass guy to protect kids, protect other people, to scare people that want to harm people. That was why I'm here. I know in my 40s, without a doubt, that's why I'm here. I know that for a doubt. Without a doubt, that's why I'm here. I know that we're teaching at colleges, not because we're the most educated, but because life made us the most educated. That's important for everyone to understand. I have been and you have been in the most darkest fucking holes and not being able to crawl and crying every day and crying every morning. We've never had this conversation, but I know this, man, because, and we're getting chills, and authenticity because it is what it is. But if you just believe a little bit in yourself day by day, push that negative stuff out, that's the only way you can win. You know what I mean? Like that's the only way you can win. And that's when you can build a brand, right?
Yeah. And like on my college essay going to grad school, like my opening sentence was like, I've always known where I was going to go. I just never knew how I was going to get there.
Isn't that
And
crazy?
yeah. And so it's just like I got in and like the professors even remember that sentence because like I didn't plan on going to grad school. I didn't plan on going to, not that I didn't plan on going to college. I didn't know what college it was going to be, but it's just kind of like, you just follow the unbeaten path and you figure it out. I didn't know I was gonna meet David. I didn't know I was gonna be recording this podcast. So it's just I didn't know I was just gonna meet Soldier Boy downstairs walking in to record this podcast. So
You
it's life, just go with the punches and just uh, stay positive and just keep the faith, I'd say.
I love that. As you're growing and you're doing so many things and pushing forward, if you could tell me what piece of marketing or branding have you seen lately that you're like, man, that's $1 billion brand?
AI. AI is revolutionizing everything when it comes to just marketing and advertising, and I'm working on incorporating it more into like I have a background in lead generation and search engine optimization. Those are like my top two primary skills when it comes to like marketing and advertising. So I'm really incorporating more AI into like my SEO marketing strategy and just more lead generation and just really figuring out how I can streamline certain things.
That's amazing, man. I love AI, man. I think AI is going to be very, very good for us in many, many ways. People are like, oh, it's going to be really, really bad for us. But man, you work with AI now, and the reality is, AI is still not a human being. And even
Right.
if it does, I still don't think it will have the emotional experience, at least in the next 10, 20 years, that can really generate a difference, in my opinion.
Yeah, to me, like AI is like a calculator, you know, instead of you having to manually plug a piece of paper to write down an equation or solve a math problem, like you can plug it into a calculator and it can solve the problem for you faster. It's just learning how to use this technology for your benefit. Like, can there be some extreme people that do some crazy things with a calculator? Maybe. Can there be some crazy people that do some things with AI? Maybe. But it's really just understanding how to use this technology because it's here and it's not going anywhere. I'm also a big like blockchain and crypto enthusiast as well. So I think Bitcoin and blockchain technology is also going to like revolutionize the way we transfer money and transfer wealth. So it's just technology is like really like my core focus and my passion. And maybe that's also one of the things I want to do
Right.
with teaching people.
What's amazing is as you're saying that, and you're talking about blockchain, talking about lead generation, you're talking about crypto and AI. Like I feel that any country, underprivileged countries, if they can really learn AI, if they can really understand what is going on, if they can really be part of it, it will help them grow. And AI, for the most part, it's free, right? It's on ChatGPT. It's free for what it does and things that it has. But what it isn't is it isn't, like you said, something that unless you know how to utilize and work with and make it part of your arsenal, it's like the internet. It's like fucking credit cards. Like you got to learn this or you are screwed.
It's the when the pandemic happened, I didn't have to explain to businesses the importance of digital marketing anymore.
Amen.
The ones that survived were the ones that leveraged digital marketing, and the ones that didn't make it, you know, Amazon just got bigger. So that's all. It's gonna, you know, either you can be Netflix or a blockbuster.
Oof.
You know, like Blockbuster got left behind, and Netflix is still here, and that's the power of technology.
Dude, it's crazy that you said that story. I actually sat in the room with the vice president of Blockbuster. And I'm part of a Gold's Gym, El Paso. So he's the that time he was VP or something. And I asked him a question, the exact same question. I was like, bro, tell me about the Netflix story. He goes, here we are at Blockbuster, m- killing it. And literally walks in this Netflix dude. And they're telling about the streaming technology, and they literally laughed him out of the fucking room. But this is from the guy. Like this is from the guy who laughed him out of the room. This isn't like some urban legend. This is literally from his mouth. He goes, we laughed him out of the room because we thought to ourselves, nobody's gonna spend that much money streaming and downloading that tech at the speed it is, because people that age don't realize went from Betamax to freaking internet like that,
Hmm.
right? Within one generation. So to them, technology has grown that much more quicker. And people don't understand like the younger generation, how quickly it grew and like how insane it's been, right? From AOL to this, thank God. Right. But you said it. Literally laughed them out of the room because they weren't prepared to understand the market and understand the global side of it. And to me, that was like stupid advice from everybody. Like, how could a bunch of people, not one person, advocate or say, and that led to the downfall of probably one of the biggest companies. But I will also say the other thing that led to downfall was those shitty, shitty, shitty return fees. Rewind, be kind. $80, losing a tape, $400 tape. You know what I'm talking about? Like
Yeah.
crazy shit as a kid that you be getting these letters that later on, as we become the adults, I'm like, dude, I don't want to be necessarily. Yeah, I love going to Blockbuster on a Saturday and getting candy, but I had to wait if I got that movie and if I returned it on time and if I rewinded and if because what most companies do is they figure out how to manipulate and suck every fucking dollar out of you. I see it right now on Facebook. I see it in social media. It should TikTok shit drives me nuts because what it does, in my opinion, you've seen this happen, is they now start running for the shareholders and not about the people.
Yeah, and like speaking of even like the blockbuster and like everything, like another reason I got into content creation was because I was looking at TikTok revolutionize short form content, and I was like, when Facebook and Instagram pivot and YouTube pivots because this one platform, this underdog, that's when there's an opportunity. So it's
Crazy.
just like whenever the internet and technology and AI is an opportunity, and the businesses that leverage that opportunity are going to be one to kind of get the last laugh because at the end of the day, you can be laughing one day, and the same thing that can make you laugh can make you cry. So you have to be really careful with like what you do and what you say about other people because there's opportunities, and you will get left behind if you don't take advantage.
I love it. Laugh now, cry later. There we go, Drake. There we go. I love it. Now, Cliff, as this journey continues on, man, what is the ultimate Cliff CEO legacy that you want to leave?
I would say the university is probably gonna be like my final thing, and I really just want to like be known for the educator, because I think information is the most powerful commodity on this planet, and like intellectual property as well. So like the more knowledge, the more knowledge you can spread, the more power, I believe, and like really that's what I'm here for.
When you talk about optimization and you see people that are doing SEO and your idea, what are some pieces of advice you'd be like, now, this is how you get to be most optimized, or this is what you get to be most lead generated?
It's really just for lead generation, it's what's the offer. Like you need to know what it is, what's the message that's going to resonate with your ideal audience, and then you want to create a series of different videos testing different messages, and then you want to build an automated lead generation system, which is just gonna like a funnel essentially, right? And then you just run paid ads to drive traffic to that offer. That's for lead generation. For SEO, it's keyword research, content creation, and link building. So those are kind of the three things you need to know based off each vertical.
This is why he's a CEO, man. Smarter than anyone I know, man. I love that,
Much
brother.
love,
That's
brother.
amazing, man. You know, well, last part, when you grow at a level that you've grown, right, and continue to make that work, what is one piece of advice that you would give everyone in our audience to stay true or to be themselves or anything of that matter?
Be persistent and be consistent, and you will
Woof.
get whatever it is that you want in this world.
Persistent and consistent. Cliff, man, I appreciate your time. One of my good friends, Cliff Pierre, CEO, man. Now, Cliff, give
Alright.
them your social media handles.
Follow me at Cliff Pierre CEO on all platforms: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. My goal is to build out the YouTube to 1 million plus this year. So I'm focused, focused, and focused.
I love it, man. I appreciate it. From David Chen and Panama's Podcast, we will see you
Peace.
next time. Be safe and have a good night.
Peace out,
That was
people.